So you got it twisted and said that I don't believe in global warming.
Well,
Well, you tell people that. You told a few people it. It's not true. I don't even know where you've picked this up on. I went on a whole mission to try and bring awareness to all of this on the website that I was creating back at the time that you were saying that I apparently had said this. No, it's very dangerous when you'll hear a newspaper quote, yes?
yeah.
So I hear a newspaper quote and I'll talk in jest to somebody about it, and you will hear this and then think that I'm saying that, which is not me saying it. It is something that I've heard and I'm repeating it.
Okay.
There's a big difference between what I've said and what my actions align to versus what you think I said based on that. Now, whether I believe in global warming or not is not the point here. I don't believe that that is one reason is causing it all. Okay?
Yeah.
I believe that there's a lot more, and I can prove this to you very quickly. Could you just push that too? So, there's been a lot of things change over history, right? But the times before, there was this thing called global warming.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of things that you've got to understand in this world, is that everybody says stuff, whether it's a paper, a person, an article, word of mouth. Everybody says something, and why they say that, they have a behavior or a belief system or an agenda, usually. So back in the day, I didn't know this, you told me this, was that there were electrical cars, were before petroleum cars. Okay? So that means that people back then who had interests in making electrical cars, the aristocrats of the time, which these are a big problem to society's problems right now. They bang on about pollution, they bang on about we need solutions, but they don't want any solutions. It's almost like that they want the solution to come from somebody that they know. Okay, and they've got a behavior issue. If this was a school of humans, they would have some sort of BSDD. They'll have a behavior.
What's the
It would be a label that I would give people that have a belief system that is. I won't repeat it, but anyway. So this is my. It's called an acronym. Yeah. Usually, people that are at the top give you acronyms to your behavior.
which are labels?
Right, okay, labels. Yes, labels, because you're a suitcase, right? But no one is ever labeling their behavior. Okay? So, back in the day, you had electric cars, right?
Yeah.
And this was before petroleum cars. But you also had different oil tycoons that also had an agenda, right?
Yeah.
So then, each of these two groups had newspaper that they were close to. The press is free, right?
Yeah.
Free, open press that anyone can say anything with freedom of speech, yes?
Yeah.
101?
Yeah.
Right? So you can't censor the press, but you can censor people on Facebook. You can censor people on YouTube, but you can't censor the press.
That doesn't.
Right? So one group can say anything, another group cannot.
Yep.
In with this problematic, there is money incentive.
Yeah.
Well, paper can print more if it's got more money.
Yeah.
So the electric vehicles go to one paper,
Mm-hmm.
and the oil tycoons go to another paper, and the electric cars back then would start saying it would be no different from the steam trains that we had. It would be no different from all of the smog that we had. It caused this warming. It caused this. It made the mini ice age, right? Then this will be printed in a paper, and that's for. And then you've got it for against. The oil tycoons would be saying that this is not rah-de-rah. I will never own an electrical car. I will never do this, man. Okie dokie. And then oil tycoons begin to start to gain and garner a massive amount of attention. The people with this propaganda, that's all it is at the end of the day, start to believe something. Fast forward till now, And it's like everybody knows what's causing global warming because we've got these prints from back in the day and they said about this, and because we had the steam trains around and because we had this and this around, this is true. And then you factor in this belief system and it's wrong. Why? Because everyone now has their blinkers on because I'm right because I found this article. I'm right because I saw this. And you lot are all so blind that you're not seeing something else here. Okay. Now we're looking at the warming, okay? Warming.
Right.
If you have a multiple of candles in this room, a multiple of candles in that room, and that room, and that room over there, what do you think you generate?
Heat.
Right. Okay. But that's obvious because it's a candle doing it, right?
Yeah.
But that's just in one house where you've got rich people, yes? Poor people couldn't really afford to do that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then time moves on, and we have these things called light bulbs. What do light bulbs generate?
Light.
No, no, what else? It's radiation.
Yeah. Heat.
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 Now, you've got them in every single room in every single house. That's 5, 6, 7. You've probably got 8. Then you've got sensor lights, 9, 10. And everyone has got these burning all the time. 1,000 watt, 400 watt, 250 watts. It's all heat. Now you calculate how many houses are in Britain with all of these lights. Now calculate how many around the world has all of these lights. Okay? Each light bulb is doing 0.1%, but over the course of a whole population on the planet that have lights, that 0.1% starts going into around 15 to 20% excess heat. What's more, this 20% excess heat at night is not naturally found on Earth. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, we've got heaters. Generating around 50%, again, at night. And during the day in some cases, right? You've got TVs. Yeah, got wash machines.
Wash machines? But that's water. There's no way on Earth.
Wash machines contain an element which heats up the water, and even 30 degrees is still too much. We got a wash machine that has no element in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah, but
I
the
tried to
one
take it out of the
before-
one that I last had, but it kept flagging up with an issue, and then the whole thing didn't work. So I don't even know why I need an element if I'm putting chemical in there. Well, you need to heat it. Technically, I don't. Seem to get things pretty good myself here without one, and that's even whites included. So again, wash machines and also contain heat.
Yeah.
Tumble dryers,
Fridges.
fridges. No, hold on a second, please. Let me get to the end of this before you jump in. I'll let you just. Okay, now we've got cars. Petrol cars. Do you know how hot they get?
Quite a lot.
The exhaust pipe, the engine,
Yeah. Yeah.
the wheels,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the brakes. Sure, they're making CO2, no doubt. But CO2 is not really much of an issue. It's all of this excess heat under a CO2 blanket.
Yeah.
This is what causes it. So if you want to ask me what causes global warming, you honestly want me to sit there and tell you that it's all because of CO2? No, that's bullshit. And once again, you bang on about pollution and you need a solution, but the solution that I bring you is not the one that you're after, so you dismiss it. What about black tarred roofs?
Yeah.
They'll absorb. This has never
Yeah.
been experienced on the planet before,
Yeah.
but no one wants to take this into your calculation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it gets so confusing, right? Because nobody, we haven't even got on cookers yet.
Yeah. Cookers, microwaves, and
Ovens.
kettles.
Kettle,
Yeah.
Oven.
that is a cooker.
Microwave.
Microwave, then we've got tar,
toasters.
then we've got mobile phones. Mobile phones in themselves, right, create a lot of heat, but no one ever knows how they do it. And then you've got Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
Do toasters count?
and we've got two types of Wi-Fi when we only really need one. But there you go, it keeps people in a business somewhere, doesn't it? You can have one mobile phone that acts as hotspot, pay 24 blah 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 blah, and it's mobile. You can go through your hotspot. But no, you need a hub, then you need this one, then you need that one. Again, then this chip is creating heat, that one is creating heat.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is creating heat. And what else do we have? Concrete.
Yeah.
You ever wondered why trees have a green color to them?
Emergent tanks. Yeah.
Immersion tanks,
Yeah.
hot water. Boilers.
Yeah.
If you want an honest calculation and you want to sit there and say that just by getting rid of CO2 that this is going to stop this issue,
No.
it's not going to. So no, it's not that I don't believe in global warming. This is a main factor in it, but so is all of this.
Do toasters count?
Yeah, it's all accumulated. Anything electronic, even solar panels themselves generate heat. A lot of it. The fact is, we've got nothing cooling. Now imagine if we were a planet of beings that had wanted everything cold. And we lived on a planet and we started making all of these things that ran cold. In the same process that we make everything hot. Let's say we start making everything that was just cold. What do you think would start to happen?
The planet would cool down.
The planet would start cooling down. You would be locked in an ice age all the bloody time.
Yeah.
Chopping down trees. There you are. There's another one. But no one wants to do that. We'll look at CO2, but no one wants to look at trees.
Yeah.
And we need trees for oxygen as well.
Well, trees are quite an interesting thing. It almost seems to me that there seems to be trees are at a level where they open up their canopy with their greenness and they create a cold environment at their roots and they create this hot stream. If you've ever climbed a tree, you'll know what I'm on about. And the breeze blows. It's cold on the forest floor, but up in where the trees are,
It's warmer.
it makes this sort of jet stream, which we'll get onto that in a bit. Call it global warming, and we need a solution. We need a solution. There's too much pollution. There's too much pollution. When I give you a solution, you watch and run. Watch and run. Scurry, because, you know, you don't want the truth. This equipment lays on the ground. This equipment heats the ground. The ground is getting hot. The sunlight. Oh, but you don't know how thermal radiation and this, that, and the other works. Right, clearly I don't. But you do. But I've never heard you make a calculation like this one. So we can sit here pointing fingers at one another all day. Concrete, houses, terracotta, more buildings, buildings, buildings. These are more, which one's more prone to create heat? If you've ever been in a heat wave, where are the places I seek out? You see, having this cholinergic urticaria, when it gets really bad, I like to seek out places. I go and find the cold spots. When there's a heat wave, I go into a forest. And then I've been in there for a couple of weeks, and then when I come out, everyone's banging on about how hot it's been. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? I need freaking layers. My hands were blue. But yet, if I'm around an area where there's loads of buildings and everything else, boy, isn't it hot.
Yeah, the buildings absorb it and then radiate, don't they?
I can barely even touch any TV, PlayStation, or anything else like that. Xbox, you name it. It's hot. It's so hot.
Yeah.
So we are generating nothing but heat. And therefore, it asks the question, this is what I'd like to experiment with the solar trees, that when you put this up, the equipment that is generating the energy, you just send the power. Sure, it's going to have some heat, but that hotter equipment is going to be around where the tree leaves are. There's a reason why trees are doing this. And the more you cut them down, and then we start seeing a depletion in the jet stream. The jet stream isn't responding the way it used to.
Yeah.
I think trees generate it. They work in with nature. You see, cold, hot. This creates a coldness that sort of wants to pull this way, and this one creates a heat that you then have this. And the more and more these trees are coming down, the more and more we start to see tornadoes form.
Yeah.
That one that formed here last year,
Mm-hmm.
the trees stopped it.
Yeah.
As soon as it hit that started, if that would have been any more over in the fields over there,
It would touch
we would have had
down.
a tornado here
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
The trees stopped it.
Mhm.
I know what I saw. I know what I saw. The trees started responding very strange to this
How did they respond?
by waving, pushing air back at it. When you pull back a tree branch and you let go of it, it makes that.
Mm-hmm. And
You
goes
feel a load
back.
of breeze come off of it.
Yeah.
The more you cut down trees, the more you're going to have unexpected weather patterns. Hence why the solar tree is more than just a project. It's I can get a lot of data from it. In fact, I can get quite a bit. So if we were to take all of humans and they were to make a module, space module somewhere, and then they bring in all their equipment. So they made it and it's all perfect, right? Here's way the beings fuck themselves up, really, in a way. They'll go there, they'll make a space colony,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, right, that's all good to go. And then they start putting in all the TVs, cookers, microwaves, showers, fridges, phones, whatever, car. No, they won't have that. But rail tracked type thing. Actually, no, it won't. It will be a suction transportation system. Like the way they send money through the pipes. It'll be something like this. Wi-Fi, signal, hot water.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with that, you need to be able to know how to move the water when it gets too hot, push it out towards the side. It's easier because you're in space.
Mm-hmm.
So much more easier. Things that are hotter go more to the center. Things that you want cooling down go to the outside. So you will circulate it a bit like a magnetic field. Building something where humans leave the planet is easy. It's really easy, but there's a lot of concepts that you need in order to get it right. Build it without these concepts, all of this stuff in. You will increase the heat inside the craft, threefold. And they'll say, oh no, this stuff isn't making any heat. Well, then get it all. Have you ever been into an electrical shop before?
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you notice?
It's quite hot.
It's very hot.
It's hot and the smell
The
is
smell is
kind of
not forgettable, is it?
electric sort of smell.
Well,
Different.
ozony,
Yeah, yeah,
electrically, soldery.
Yeah.
So to say that I don't believe in global warming, that's an understatement.
Mhm.
No, I was talking about what loads of people are saying, and this person says, and that person says, and as far as I'm concerned, they have done no looking at this situation. They've just brushed the surface, listened to what somebody else has said, and they're holding that as gospel.
Yeah, CO2 and that's it. And then everyone has like carbon footprint is called, isn't it?
Which it's not. It's a heat footprint.
Yeah.
Even you being as a being yourself.
Yeah.
So the population increasing.
Yeah.
This is bound to make heat.
Yeah.
Why? Because you are hotter than the air around you.
Yeah, and
Even to live and function as a human, you are significantly hotter than the outside environment.
Yeah.
Have enough of these humans. Have you ever noticed that when you've got more humans in a room somewhere,
that it gets hotter. Yeah.
it gets hot, right? But no one's got
Yeah.
any heating on.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah.
Because humans are hotter than the environment.
Right, and they are releasing this heat. Do you know what else is really, really strange with this? Did you know the next thing that starts to happen rather than worry about carbon. Do you know what the next thing happens?
No. What is?
Water doesn't condensate.
Mm-hmm.
Condensate.
No.
If it's really hot, can you get water to condensate?
No, it evaporates.
So it condensates in areas where it's colder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, where's that? If everywhere is hot,
Mm.
so when you do get a cold spot in the middle of summer, what do
Yeah.
you get? A shit ton of rain.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And a large amount of it falls very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because what do you think heat does to moisture?
And then you have flooding.
Then you have flooding in a
Yeah.
certain area.
In variety of areas, different depending on how the weather worked and where it all falls down.
See, I told you that this is not just a one thing.
Yeah.
You can't fix this with just one thing.
Mhm.
Doing this, you still got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then is it going to radiate out into space? Well, no, not really. Is it then going to come back in from space inwards? You know, if you're making a barrier, you're making a barrier both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see, that's the bit that I think everybody forgets, that if you've got one that's trapping it this way, you're going to also trap it the other way.
Okay. Yeah.
But this barrier isn't thick and like a blanket evenly across the whole entire world, because in order to get even CO2 and oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for it to line up like this, you would then have, warm, and you would have cold.
Mm-hmm.
The only way this ever becomes uniform like this
Yeah.
is inside a house.
Mm-hmm.
Why would that do that inside a house? There's a fundamental word that we call it, weather. Why do we call it weather?
I don't know.
Because there's no
Weather
other
be-
name to call it.
No.
Because it's hot and warm.
No, what does weather mean?
The rain.
No. Meaning constant change.
Constant change.
Never the same twice, right? So outside, right, where we'll say that it's like this inside a house, yeah? So you've got the warmer air, perhaps you could assume that oxygen is more above my head, yes?
Yeah.
And you could say that there's a bit more of carbon down here.
Yeah.
When I close the door and there's no draft inside the house,
Yeah.
I've got a layer of carbon and I have a layer of oxygen. I have a layer of cold air and I have a uniform layer of hot air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then would I have more of a chance of feeling colder more so closer to the floor?
It's colder, yeah.
And it would feel more hotter towards the ceiling.
Yeah.
If you want to do this in another way, bunk beds.
Mm.
These are the most strangest things you'll ever have. In the summer, they are absolute nightmare to sleep on the top one because it's too hot. And you'd much better come at the bottom bunk because it's more cooler.
Mm-hmm.
But in the winter, it's in the reverse. When you've got a heater on,
Yeah.
I had this great big unit that I built.
Mm-hmm.
And to be up there whilst putting more on, I had to stand on it. It was so big. And whilst building it, I could have done it from the side, but it's more leaning over. And when you got a drill, you need to be able to get behind it and push it. So I had to get up on it. As soon as I got up there, I was like, my word, it's warm. It's so hot.
Mm.
Then when I got down from it, I felt so cold. Always cold in that house, but when I was up closer to the ceiling, I was very hot. Why do you think that was? And then there was that experiment that I did with a low fan that was blowing up at the top of the ceiling, but it was very gentle. It wasn't like anything that was fast flowing, and it pushed the warm air down. Then you notice the benefit of a heater that was on. But other than that, I didn't notice the benefit because the hotter air runs up here, and then you have a layer of the colder air. Sure, you've got it where it's pushing up, but that ain't coming down. And then when you heat a house, if you could see it, this is where it becomes something. You would see the heat doing this. And it would come lower
Mm-hmm.
and lower and lower and lower. And then you'd start to feel it. But again, you'd feel warm here, but you would feel hot up there. You've made a stable environment, and everyone that's in this stable environment thinks that outside is a stable environment. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's anything but that. You've got hot air sinking down and hot air rising up and cold air sinking down. In with this, you've got parts of oxygen coming down. You've got parts of carbon moving upwards. It's not just heat and cold that is moving. Sure, it might be heavier, but again, if it's heated, it's going to lift. And this is all different. And then you've got air mixing and it's whirlpooling over here. To see our environment would be lots of pockets of whirling downwards, whirling upwards. A bit like Venus, where it's got the two tornadoes. One's one way, one's the other. I think one sucks and one blows. That's how I think it works. Anyway, again, go and do some experimenting with it. If you could make a die that you could see, you would see this very quickly. This would become very apparent to you. Smoke inside a house, then. Here's another one.
Yeah.
So, do you remember when your parents used to smoke back in the day inside the
Yeah.
house and you would see it?
Yeah, the blue nicotine
Yeah,
smoke.
but did you know that if you ducked down, there wasn't any? It was in with the heated layer.
Yeah, and you could see how it moved, how it made
Waves.
sort of little waves and whirls and whatever. And if you move your hand in it, you could see.
But you could never get it to go down.
No.
But once it started to cool down,
Huh.
it would begin to drop
It
down.
would, yeah.
But it would change. It would be more transparent by the time it started to go down. You see all of those waves in that.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when
And then if you come
TV
through it
was
and started
on.
moving your arms around in it, then you began to mix the whole thing up. Now take this outside. Have you ever seen that do that outside? Have you ever seen smoke gather like that ever in your life, whether it's a fire or anything? Because I most certainly have not.
No.
Even forest fires are all moving all over the bloody place, the smoke from it. It's moving all over the bloody place.
The only thing that's visible a bit is when it's raining in the distance and you see the cloud, and then you see sort of in one area that is raining the shade coming down from the cloud, the line sort of, I don't know how to describe it.
But that isn't that the rain though? The water, that's moisture, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the only thing that I'm talking about, visible, something that you can see otherwise.
The only time you ever see the clouds at ground level is when the atmosphere begins to drop down on itself because of how cold it's getting.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the time, that is up. But aren't the clouds all churning and changing? It's not because the cloud wants to change. No. That's mixing. You've got some of it moving down and
Yeah,
some of it is
yeah,
going up and it's
yeah.
bubbling away.
Yeah, you
Yeah, that's not got nothing to do with the cloud wants to change shape. That is how you see atmosphere. And if you can speed it up, which you can if you record the sky, and then fast forward it. Fast forward the video that you're seeing.
yeah.
You don't have to have the wavy lines as what back in the day you had. You know, when you went to fast forward
Yeah,
something
yeah.
and you got those sort of wavy lines. No, now with digital you can do this. Do you notice all of that change? Some of it's going up, some of it's coming down.
Yeah.
The air breaks free.
Yeah, yeah, I do.
So when we look at global warming, it's more than just one thing, as it always often is. So yes, switching from cars are the hottest thing. If you get a thermal camera, the most things that are creating a lot of heat is cars. Diesel, petrol cars. I'll say, oh, but what about electric? Electric does cause heat. Yeah, don't get me wrong. But it ain't no way near as much as that. Then if cars were put with a capability of being able to make a more of a cooler,
Yeah.
more cold. Could you ever imagine turning all of those solar fields that you see with nothing but it sounds stupid to say it, but nothing but air conditioning units? How much would that alter a summer? Think about it. If you could convert the energy that's being generated into air conditioning units, a way of freezing the air. storing the heat like you do in a freezer, right? So we've got freezers that store cold air,
Yeah.
but on the outside they're generating heat.
Yeah.
Reverse that process where you could store the hot air, but just release the cold air. What do you think would happen if you were to put 4 of these objects in everybody's house? Do you think that there would be no change to the environment whatsoever?
There would be, wouldn't there?
What if you had a planet full of cold-blooded creatures that didn't produce any internal heat but relied on heat coming from external source? Do you think you would have a hotter or a colder climate?
Cold.
You would. Why? Because these life forms are absorbing that excess heat.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder why it goes from cold-blooded, warm-blooded, cold-blooded, warm-blooded? Well, what we're saying, what should be being told to you, which it isn't because you're being told it, but in a very shh sort of way. You've got creatures that create heat more than they need, and the body needs to release it into the environment.
Yeah.
Which is good for Ice Age, coming out of times of Ice Age and everything else like that. You need to be able to generate inward heat. Did you know that's how you can figure whether a planet with life forms, based just by looking from the distance, if they've got reptilian on it, more reptile, then you would look at that was a more hotter climate. With a few pockets of should we say warm-blooded, which is not warm-blooded. It means that they generate more heat than they need. Your body wastes heat.
Yeah.
Your body by design is meant to waste heat because you are designed for cold climate.
Yeah.
This is why you don't deal with hot climates very well.
Yeah.
How come you do?
How come I do? Very interesting, isn't it? That's a good question, that.
Do you absolutely love heat waves?
And then you've got creatures that are prone to absorb heat. So they don't make enough internal heat, so they're not radiating, they are absorbing heat. So, which one, stop biting your nails please, so which ones are more suited for the climate? And then I'll ask you another question. How many times do you think this has happened on this planet?
Many.
Going from hot to cold, hot
Yeah,
to cold,
yeah.
hot to cold, hot
Yeah,
to
it
cold.
changes, I think. When there are too many creatures, it changes.
Could you imagine living in all of those cycles? You would have to adapt. Be able to adapt to the heat and adapt to the cold. So, if we remove all of this and we were to make humans just as mute as anything else, and I was looking from the distance, I would see you as very fine specimens of, by design, you would know how to handle that. So, too much sunlight, way too much sunlight, who's my money on? Humans that produce way too much heat and produce this into the environment, although they don't see it because they're superior and inferior. This is all this bullshit gets in the way, by the way. Stops real discoveries. Here, why don't you go take that? Well, I warn you, this is not this stuff that you want. You're overlooking something else. I'm not sure I'm in the mood to divulge it. So you've got humans. Now let's add up the population of humans, because again, this might explain some other things. So you've got humans that are producing heat, yes? 0.1%, yeah? Add up each human per percentage goes up. That's, and then add it up for any other animal that is leaking more heat than they can keep. Then their bodies know what to do with. Then we've got humans that want to go running in the heat, creating even more heat, therefore rising their body. Gyms, anyone? Do you ever notice that gyms require so much air conditioning? When you first walk into a gym, they're freezing cold.
Yeah.
What do you think they know that's staring right in front of you?
That you will release a lot of energy like everyone when you start.
Well, when you release energy, what happens?
You are hot.
Why do you get hot? Then you create sweat. Then you need to cool down. Then you need the... That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Should gyms be closed for the summer? Think about it. Ask yourself a question. I mean, that's something, isn't it? Should you be running and breaking out a sweat? Well, yeah, because the air conditioning is cooling it all down. Okay, so where's that heat from this AC then?
Yeah, it goes out. It heats the environment even more.
So in order to cool some people down...
You heat the environment.
I mean, it's not like you guys are like, on your marks, get set, go. They're running through the forest trying to catch meat to eat. Right? Just got to have muscle to look good for a woman. I don't know if that is what you're doing it for. I can't see any other logical reason for it. But there you are. So we do this and we generate heat. And again, this is increasing the heat of the planet. But again, don't take my word for it. You don't need to know any of this. What purpose could this cause you? None at all. So we create more heat than our body knows what to do with.
Yes, we do all the time, don't we?
Which is not bad in the winter if we had better clothing.
We make friction.
No, if we had better clothing, we wouldn't require a heater.
And if we had better insulation of houses, we would use the heat from the stuff. Wouldn't need heaters or very little heating.
If you truly insulate it, but again, that doesn't give you money though.
Yeah.
That doesn't let you charge a really high electricity bill and make someone insanely rich. This is all it's got. This is all it boils down
this
to.
This is all about corruption, isn't it? All about people who think
So we
they
make
are
houses
better.
that are terrible at holding on to heat. And then these properties are now cold spots. Which, where do you think all the moisture is now hitting and condensating?
In them?
In the houses. Why do you think that is? Because it's more hotter outside than it is inside. Well, it might as well rush there and condensate. It's basically the new form of rain, which feeds fungus. Well, that overtakes too much and it will deplete most of your metals from your soil. And it could starve it from your core. By biomagnetic field. That's if your core is putting it into the soil for later on. But it wants it back when it needs it or requires it. Do you honestly think that the core is spitting out in volcanoes here and spitting out bits of metal here because it doesn't need it? Or do you think that it's waiting to bring that back in at a later date?
Yeah, going with the layers back.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
And we got some people that are like, let's tap into the magnetic field to make energy. Fucking hell. Yeah, okay. Bye-bye humanity. Bye-bye life. See you later. Problem is, they don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
Starting to run out of fuel, what happens? Well, they'll go until it all drains up. Man, they'll start wars to get it.
Yeah.
Do you not see that they don't know when enough's
you
enough?
already see it, don't
Yep, and then what? It starts happening with the environment. The magnetic field starts failing. What do you think they're going to do? They ain't going to tell you. And secondly is, what are they going to do? Start a war on the fucking solar system?
No.
No, they'll keep adding because it's about more money. They put money before they do the planet.
Yeah.
Clearly, hence why we got into this mess in the first place. But there you are. Don't take my word for it, though. Go and do your own research. So do I believe in global warming? Understatement. That's an understatement. I think I see it more clearly than most people do.
Yeah.
Ooh, quick. Better shrink my ego down again. No, I don't think that is ego. Not at all. I think it's that I've spent a long time studying this subject.
And just imagine the cars parked somewhere, not even driving, and it's warm day, how much they heat because they are made of metal and whatever materials. And then you go to car park to find your car and you are sweating just to get there.
Cars are melting.
Yeah.
But you put a reptile there, love it.
Mm.
That's heaven.
Yeah. But even reptiles, when they are charged with heat, they will leave and will be okay for the day.
Yes, but that means that they will walk into colder areas.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, taking that heat that was outside and they have just moved it, they then absorb that, gets absorbed because it's radiation, it will be absorbed into the coldest object,
Mm-hmm. And then
which
they
allows
will
them
go
to get
again.
there and then come back. Bask,
Go.
collect,
Yeah.
and move the heat.
Yeah.
Bask, collect, and move the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Their life would be very different to your life, but it would protect the planet.
Yeah.
If you think about it, life forms are by design.
Yeah.
Trees, well, nature, my word, that's very neutral in itself, isn't it? It can cope with both.
Yeah.
Different species cannot, others might not be able to do so well, but if you look at it and we take in terms of a cactus, nature is nature.
Yeah.
My word, it does very well.
What does a cactus do?
They can cope with some level of heat.
Yeah.
A bit like a reptile themselves.
Yeah.
Well, they're in the desert most of their lives.
No, not all cactuses are, and cactuses can cope with cold climates. It does stunt them, means to an end though. And then you look at reptiles and you see how stunted their growth is right now. Allow them to keep heating up.
Yeah.
When the climate begins to shift, hot age, cold age, hot age, cold age, hot age, cold age, just like you have summer, winter, but by design.
So, do you believe in global warming?
Yes, but I don't believe that it's all going to be dealt with just by getting rid of petrol cars. I think that impacts it enough to bring it down in the time being in order to figure out something else. But a lot of this technology is going over greenlands, which absorb more, and then it keeps the heat in these panels for a large period of time. But yet, if the solar panels were built with a gas inside them or underneath them, the more the light hits into it, it will cause the gas to get excited. Now, if they're built into something that can withstand the pressure, the more the gas gets heated and excited, the more colder the gas will become due to the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you kind of cancel it out. You cancel out the heat. Whether that makes solar panels better or not, this is the reverse effect of making hot water from the back of a solar panel. It's the reverse effect.
And is that good or bad?
That's what they would call expensive. Technically, what they're saying is that doesn't make me a CEO with billions in my bank account. That's what they say,
So that
without
means,
actually saying it.
So that means no, basically.
It's not really expensive. I think it's expensive having a CEO on top of an energy company that doesn't actually do anything apart from buy and sell energy. Buys it from National Grid and sells it to the customer at a whopping amount of money, and they're not doing anything with this money except for going bankrupt.
Pocketing it for themselves. Yeah.
Whereas it should be that money should be being utilized into better ways to counteract this. Especially when we look at humanity and we think, my word, we really are not coping with the heat very well.
Yeah.
I picture rich CEOs just.
I don't think it's all of them, by the way.
I know, but the ones that don't do anything, I just picture them in a palace somewhere, not doing actually anything. But did you know, when you're not doing anything, you're still doing something. Just
Yes.
like when you don't have a belief, but it's still a belief.
Yes. I would agree with you on that. But yeah, again, this stuff, It's not put a fan on it. That's not going to do it. Why can't we have fanless technology, which is good for the unit, doesn't clog with dust? But when the chip starts getting hot, there's a compression unit in there with a gas inside it. But the more this gas starts compressing itself due to the pressure, it starts jostling about, this should become colder. So the more you use it, the more colder it becomes. Then, when you turn the appliance off, it's emanating a sort of coldish. As long as the gas isn't escaping, that should be a pretty good thing. The more you heat the gas, the more colder it becomes. This is the type of technology that is needed. But there is a limit to it, and again, there is a consequence to it. Where do you need the environment to be? They say that we don't control the weather. That is... Are you sure? Knowingly or directly or indirectly? Are you sure? These extractor fans in this house here, these should be beyond anything. There's no way you can give a house a C rating when it's got two hoovers sat on the ceiling, up on the ceiling, where heat rises most of the time, sucking out all of the heat that is generated in order to prevent damp. That is... wow.
Cold air makes damp, doesn't it?
Wow, it should never be labelled as a, that is not a C rating house. That is one of the worst ways to deal with it. And that seems like just such the easiest and quickest fix, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, you know that, don't you?
And then therefore it's damaging the environment even more. But yet these people sit inside buildings drinking cups of tea most of the time, and that's where I find that it's done its purpose. You've done your thing, and I think it's run its course. You are degrading the environment faster with your tactics of that will do.
I've got a question. Do you think that that the rich just do they move? Like,
I don't have a problem per se with the rich, okay? I really don't. It's just certain members in those rich groups where they might not have a problem with all people who are on lower incomes or poor. I believe it's 50-50. It's down to the individual. And sometimes, more commonly than not, I notice that these individuals are in high places or they are rich. They are very detrimental to the way our planet and in global warming and all the rest of it. And then to see that we've got a problem with this, you're not just talking all of this stuff, you're now talking about those people that are supposed to be heading environmental groups. These people are in charge of environmental groups, and this is all they can do. Tell me what part of that... Yeah, you might be heading an environmental group, but do not try and tell me that you're here for the environment, because your actions... And you don't want to know any other way. You dismiss me off with this, this, and this because you know better. Because look at my title.
But do you think
So no, I think that that is just damaging this even quicker. And again, it then makes me wonder where their incentive is coming from, where their cash incentive is coming from. Who are they in partner with? Because for you to just ignore all of that. That I don't know what that is. I can't see it being another way. You know, usually people are all about learning, but I don't know if you are actually learning anything and you've gone on this course and that course, then what is your course teaching you? How to degrade the environment quicker in 10 easy steps. So then you need twice the amount of energy in this property, and this proved it. Look how quick that has increased. The bill has done nothing but increase since they've come out and put this in. You can't heat this house. As soon as you've heated it from a storage heater, it's blown straight up and you can see it in the airstream. If you blow some smoke into it, you see where it goes. Straight up and it's pouring out of the extractor fan and this is leaking out into the environment. So all of these heaters here are just turned on for the environment.
Yeah. We are heating the garden and the surroundings.
Well, it's not heating the garden, it's going straight up
Yeah,
and out.
up from there.
And then how many other houses are doing this?
Many.
Then you want to take that's a calculation.
Yeah.
Then you take all of the kilowatts of the heaters that are not touching the floor or anywhere here or touching the walls because they don't have enough time to. They're straight up and out.
Yeah.
And this is environmental health. This is environmental health. This is the very best of the best.
There's no way.
And then I am forced to pay that.
This is not environmental health. This is more like the reverse of it.
Yeah.
Forced to pay this in multiple avenues. Look how much the bill has increased.
I know. I've always been about insulation in houses and stuff like that.
This is not the answer. This is just detrimental to the environment. It's
Yeah.
detrimental to the situation that we have here. But again, I guess it gets you moving money pretty quickly. The only one that's really making anything and rubbing their hands is the energy company.
Yeah.
And it's not the energy company, National Grid. No, it's the middleman.
Yeah.
Middleman?
The company that is on this property.
Yeah.
So I'll give you this here, but I'm going to take it over here. That
Yeah.
seems like the agenda. The environment is the thing that is getting it in the end.
Yeah.
And these are the same ones that are like, you must pay us more money. We're melting the ice caps, but give us more money. So no, that is where I don't believe in the global warming thing. No, I don't. Nothing quite like making the problem yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and adding all of this on top of it,
And don't forget companies, not just houses. Some of them have the light bulbs on all night, probably heating as well.
and you see that runs away night after night after
Big-
night after
yeah,
night
big
after night in the
offices,
winter.
yeah.
In the winter,
Yeah.
naturally, you got to look at it from before versus what is different now.
Yeah.
And if you think that, oh, it's just a car, it's outside. Yeah, but we've got that problem where there are so many people with cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got people that have got a large amount of money are like, well, I ain't getting no electric car. Where you're in the biggest position to do something about it. And then we've got that poll, why should I?
Yeah.
You are poor class, you buy it. Knowing that the poor would have to save many, many pennies to even be able to afford that. Half of them low income and working and have to claim a benefit at the same time can barely afford to fucking eat or heat.
Yeah. In my country, people who are like lower income cannot afford new car ever. Cannot afford house ever. Because they, even if they could repay it in installments, they won't get the mortgage. And it's the same here, isn't it?
The
Cannot
engine
afford
is
anything.
heating the environment.
Yeah.
You are putting loads of radiators in the environment. These weren't here before.
Yeah.
You, humans, were the radiator. Now,
Yeah.
you've got a car that's a radiator, the tyres are a radiator, the exhaust fumes are heated.
Yeah.
Then you've got lights on.
Yeah.
Then you've got lights on at night in the winter.
Yeah.
These things are generating an awful lot of heat. But you're like, oh, but I don't feel it from far away. Put your hand on the back of it. Well, we've got these now cool technology. It's not working. It's not enough. It's
Yeah.
still producing a heat that
A lot
wasn't
of
there
it.
before.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah. There's a lot of cars. So many cars.
And then we've got multiple storage heaters inside a house when you could build a house where you only need one storage heater. That lowers it down considerably. Then you've got wet houses that require extractor fans on it, which suck all the heat out.
Yeah.
Poorly insulated windows, again,
Yeah.
sucking in all of the
Again,
cold
yeah,
air.
Yeah. Heating was best in the floor, wasn't it? Because it comes from your feet, from really the whole area bottom.
Then you've got all technologies, TVs, PlayStations, cookers, microwaves, you name it. There's one in every house. Fridges. Immersion tanks.
Toasters.
Again, the shared hot water system is a way forward. The thing that we were drawing was the flask kettle and the flask water tank.
Yeah, yeah. Making it like that.
Yep, making it from a flask material so it's well insulated. Again, it only slows it down, but a flask within a flask within a flask type
Slows
medium
it quite a lot.
slows it a lot.
Yeah.
Then you are containing that heat.
Yeah.
There's also kettles that are 2 kilowatts. Again, ridiculous. Some are even 3.
Yeah.
Do you know how much water you can heat at boiling point just by using 800 watts? Which is a steamer, where you pressurize it.
Yeah.
Again, if that was in a flask type material, again. So to say that I don't believe in global warming, I'm coming out with an awful lot of technology that argues in the reverse of that. But again, no, it's so expensive. No, it's this. No, it's just easier if I go and blow up a nation to get the oil.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the way I see it. That's the only way I see it. And again, whatever.
No,
Doesn't
that's
really matter.
right.
But no,
That is
we'll just get here because we can just, go and get the oil instead. We can go and get this instead, or we can go and get that instead.
That's why now
It's easier to sacrifice life than it is to do these changes.
they now allow electric cars because then there's more oil for certain groups. For whatever technology they didn't bother to do anything with.
Well, to change it all, they don't know what they're doing. It's not as easy as going to one car company. Who's your money on? Someone who's never built a car before, or the companies that have been building motor cars. Well, your money's on them. Okay, so we go with vapor pens then. What's your money on? Someone upcoming to build a vapor pen, or some company that already owns tobacco and sells it? Who's more likely to build that first?
Yeah,
there you go. Now you see it. It can transition very easily, can't it?
The company?
But a company that's been doing it for X amount of time, can transition over into this. This is how it is. So I don't really need to give you a loan to do that, do I? Because they'll do it. Oh, and they'll do it, and they'll do it. Oh, really? These people have already loads of fucking money already? Gee me, you ever going to get off the wheel? Oh, yeah, we do, but we've already got someone already lined up. I'm cynical, apparently. No, factual, I would say. Big difference. But there you are. You're entitled to your opinion. And I'm biting on it. Yeah, probably. Because in your nice, capable hands, look at where we've gone. Look at what it's come to. But yeah, so there you are. Right, I'm going to leave this one here because I think I've gone on for enough. I think I've proved my point. But there you are. So whether I believe in global warming or not, shades of grey, it's the way it's believed, I think, is important. It's easy just to say CO2, charge a tax, make some money off of it, chuck some money at it, and that's it.
Yeah, pay tax for it more and more. And that's it.
And then certain people want the world in a certain way with their certain establishment and their established order and their established groups. And as long as none of their friends, family, XYZ are in this, falling in this, or anything else. All of these things make people incredibly rich.
Yeah.
At the state of the environment, and these are the ones that are still cutting down the trees. They're still the ones shitting up the rivers. They're still the ones taking over the lands.
But you forgot one on the hot.
What?
Wool plugs.
What?
Wool plugs?
Not wall plugs. Do you mean the sockets?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they get hot. Yes.
Yes.
The ones that run power from here to there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does electricity pylons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trains, buses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Street lamps.
Boats.
Right.
Boats with motors.
Yeah. So yeah.
I also can see what you mean by the hot and cold because back in our old house, You built.
Yeah, okay, we won't talk about what I've built if we can.
Oh, it's alright.
Let's not talk about that.
Alright. But you know what I'm going on about?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Let's not.
Alright.
Alright, some of those things we'll just keep hush, okay?
Alright.
But yeah, no, we're gonna leave this here. Yeah.